All right, guys, so this is our foldable for special right triangles, and in our book, this is section 9.2, and we're specifically going to be talking about 45, 45, 90 triangles, and then also 30, 60, 90 triangles, okay? So the 45, 45, 90 and the 30, 60, 90, all that tells us is the angle measures. So on a 45, 45, 90 triangle, you have two 45-degree angles, and then a 90-degree angle. And then on a 30, 60, 90, you have a 30-degree angle, a 60-degree angle, and a 90-degree angle, okay? So we're going to use some rules for these. Now, these rules only work for these specific triangles, so don't think you can use these just for any triangle. They only work for 45, 45, 90, and 30, 60, 90. All right, so first I want to kind of review a little bit. On a 45, 45, 90, remember, opposite of congruent angles, so opposite sides of congruent angles would be congruent sides. So on a 45, 45, 90 triangle, you have two sides that are going to be congruent, okay? And those are the two legs, okay? I'm going to go ahead and write those are the two legs. And the legs are the same length. And then obviously the hypotenuse is going to be a different size. Okay, so when I have a 45, 45, 90 triangle, I know the two legs are always congruent, okay? But there's a very specific formula that tells me if I have one of the legs, I can find the hypotenuse. Or if I have the hypotenuse, then I can find the legs. All right, so let's look at this triangle, okay? We're going to assume this is a 45, 45, 90 triangle. So here's my hypotenuse. I'm going to say this is a 45, 45, 90, so 45 degrees, 45 degrees. My hypotenuse is opposite of my right angle. And then my two other sides, here's my leg, and here's my leg. Okay, and remember, legs are congruent. All right, so my hypotenuse, say I have one of my legs. To find my hypotenuse, all I need to know is that my hypotenuse is equal to my leg times the square root of 2. Okay, that's it. Leg times square root of 2. All right, now if I have my hypotenuse but I need to find my leg, I know that my leg is equal to my hypotenuse times the square root of 2 divided by 2. Okay, every single time this works. So let's do a couple of examples. All right, so here's my two examples. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight my two legs green. Okay, so those are my two legs there, and that are my two legs. Okay, and I know my legs are equal in length. And because my legs are equal in length, I know this here has to be 14 as well. Now this has to be x as well. We'll figure what that is here in a minute. And I'm going to highlight my hypotenuse yellow. Okay, so here I have both of my legs. Okay, so now I'm just going to go back to what I did before. If I'm trying to find my hypotenuse, I know it's going to be my leg times the square root of 2. So hypotenuse equals leg times square root of 2. Okay, but notice I have the value of my leg. My leg is 14. So my hypotenuse has to be, 14 is my leg, so 14 times square root of 2. So my y then is 14 square root of 2. Okay, so my x is 14. My y is 14 times square root of 2. All right, let's look over here. Here I have my hypotenuse, and I want to find my leg. Okay, so I'm going to look up the formula. So my leg, if I go back and look up the formula, my leg is the hypotenuse times square root of 2 over 2. Okay, so my leg is my hypotenuse times square root of 2 divided by 2. That came straight from this formula right here. Okay, but guys, I know my hypotenuse. My hypotenuse is 8, so I can plug that in. So I can say my leg equals, well, my hypotenuse equals 8 times square root of 2 divided by 2, or just 8 square root of 2 over 2. And most of you guys can remember from when we simplified radicals, 8 over 2 can simplify to 4 over 1, so just 4 square root of 2 over 1, which is just 4 square root of 2. Okay, so that's my leg. So my leg here is 4 square root of 2. My other leg is 4 square root of 2. And that's all that I need to do. All right, my 30, 60, 90 is a little different because my legs aren't the same length anymore, right? So I'm still going to have my hypotenuse. I'm going to highlight that in green. Now, if you notice, my legs are different lengths, okay? So I'm going to call this my short leg, or S period L. And then I'm going to call this here, this is going to be my long leg, or I'm going to abbreviate it L period L. Okay, so over here, this is my short leg, my long leg, and my hypotenuse. Okay, so we're going to have two different equations for each. So we're going to have like how you find the hypotenuse if you have the short leg, and then how you find the hypotenuse if you have the long leg. Okay, and then the same thing with short leg, same thing with long leg. Depending on what you have, depends on which one of these you use. All right, so my hypotenuse, if I'm trying to find my hypotenuse, and then I know my short leg, my hypotenuse is just 2 times my short leg. Okay, if you want to write this out, that's fine. If SL is confusing to you, that's fine. Write it out, short leg. Or if I have my long leg, my hypotenuse can be found by 2 times long leg times square root of 3 over 3. Okay, now if I want to find my short leg and I have my hypotenuse, it's just hypotenuse divided by 2. Or if I want to find my short leg and I have my long leg, it's just my long leg times square root of 3 divided by 3. Okay, last but not least, I'm looking for my long leg. If I have my short leg, it's just my short leg times square root of 3. Or if I have my hypotenuse, it's my hypotenuse times square root of 3 over 2. Okay, and once again, these formulas here only work for 30, 60, 90 triangles. All right, so let's look at some examples. Okay, over here, this is my short leg. This is my hypotenuse, and this is my long leg. Okay, I have my short leg. My short leg is what I know. Okay, so if I go back to these, I'm going to use this to find my long leg because it has my short leg in it. And I'm going to use this to find my hypotenuse because I have my short leg. Okay, so my hypotenuse is just 2 times my short leg. Well, guys, my short leg is 8. So my hypotenuse is just 2 times, short leg is 8, which is 16. So my hypotenuse is 16, my y equals 16. Okay, now my long leg is right here, which is just my short leg times the square root of 3. So my long leg equals my short leg times square root of 3. Once again, my short leg is 8. So my long leg equals 8 times square root of 3, or just 8 square root of 3. So this is 8 square root of 3. My x is equal to 8 square root of 3. Okay, so just use the formulas and plug in what you know. All right, so let's look at this example here. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and label each of my sides. This is my hypotenuse. This is my short leg. This is my long leg. Okay, so if I go back here, I know my long leg. Okay, so the formulas that I want to use are going to be the ones with the long leg in it. Okay, well, I can find my short leg is long leg times square root of 3 over 3. And I can find my hypotenuse by 2 times long leg times square root of 3 over 3. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and write those down. Okay, so my short leg equals my long leg times square root of 3 over 3. Okay, so if I plug that in, short leg equals my long leg is 12 times square root of 3 over 3. And we should be able to simplify this to just 4 square root of 3 over 1, or just 4 square root of 3. So my short leg is 4 square root of 3. So my x equals 4 square root of 3. All right, now let's find my hypotenuse. Okay, so once again, I'm going to use this right here. All right, so the equation of my hypotenuse, like I said, is right here. I'm just going to type it down. Is 2 times long leg times square root of 3 over 3. Okay, but my long leg is 12, so my hypotenuse equals 2 times, my long leg is 12, times square root of 3 over 3. Okay, I'm going to simplify this a little more. 2 times 12, my hypotenuse is 24 square root of 3 over 3. And then once again, you should be able to recognize 24 over 3 is just 8 square root of 3 over 1, or just 8 square root of 3. That's my hypotenuse. So my hypotenuse is 8 square root of 3, which is what my y equals. Okay, sometimes these problems are super easy to overcomplicate. Don't do it. Just use your formula, plug in what you know, and then simplify your radicals like we have done for the last couple weeks.